We have some wagyu here. This happens to be some short ribs. We usually use a variety of different cuts to make our burgers. The One White Street cheeseburger, it is quite popular. I think it got a little bit more popular this summer when the influencer, the New York Turk, came in and ate our burger, and he said it was the best burger in New York City. We sell more burgers than anything because everybody wants to try it. It is your highbrow, lowbrow burger, intended to be like a Big Mac or fast food style of its two thin patties on a sesame seed bun, but all the ingredients that we use are super high quality and made in-house. It just kind of ticks all the boxes of your perfect burger. So One White Street is a farm-to-table restaurant, being that we have a farm, Ruger Hill Farms in upstate New York, outside of Ghent. The heartbeat of the restaurant, I like to say, is the farm. That dictates what we're gonna serve, what's on the plate. We are a fairly busy restaurant. We're doing easily over 1,000 covers a week. We've had the Green Michelin Star for 2 years now. I don't think we look at sustainability as, oh, we have to be sustainable. I think we look at it as this is the right thing to do. We go through over 200 pounds of meat a week to make the patties here in-house. Now that we have finished taking the meat off the bone and cleaning it up, we will be going down to grind the meat in the basement. So now that all the meat has been ground, we'll portion it into 5-ounce balls, and then we patty those with our patty press. I am actually not really a burger person. When I was 21 years old, it was the first time I had a Big Mac, and that's the only Big Mac I've ever had in my entire life. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't fast food restaurants around. Burgers weren't like readily available, so it just wasn't something that I had often or was a part of my life. But I do have to say, I like the thinner patties more than like a thick patty. Basically, we do the press for consistency and for speed. Also, our plancha is quite small. We can only cook a finite amount of burgers at a time. And since we're not just a burger restaurant, they have to be able to cook the burgers, but also do a lot of other things at once. So it is pre-pattied for the efficiency of the cooks. Next thing is the potatoes, which don't come with the burger, but we highly recommend you get the potatoes with the burger. Crispy potatoes, it's like our version of the French fry. We do a combi steam on them, then we cut them up into rustic chunks and give them a little squeeze. Essentially what we want to do is make a lot of surface area, because more surface area means more spots that can get crunchy. So that way we have a super crunchy potato. These will then get fried up for service, and they get seasoned with the chili salt and chili sauce that we make with chilies from the farm. The potatoes is a great side with that. Classic burger and fries fulfills that need, but it is definitely a side that I would say almost every table does get, because who doesn't like a crispy potato? It is something that we sell out of almost regularly. We've been running it with a sriracha aioli. We ferment the chilies in-house, and then the byproduct of making the sriracha sauce is this pulp that's left over. Stuff that most people will be like, right into the bin. We dehydrate that, it gets turned into a powder once it's dehydrated, and that seasons the potatoes. And so it kind of comes full circle that every part of that chili has been used. It's Tuesday morning here at One White Street, and we are getting our farm delivery. Ruger Hill Farms is in upstate New York, and they supply us with all of our produce. We get the farm delivery twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. This week we were getting many items. Celery root, that goes with our duck dish, the Hudson Valley duck. Also with the duck dish is gonna be the Good Mother Stollard beans. Savoy cabbage, this is gonna be for the lamb dish. Basically the way that we plan out the food is what the farm grows. It's the highest quality produce I think you can get. Having the ability to cherry pick and select exactly what we want is a real benefit. These cabbages that have just arrived from our farm this morning, we will be burning them to make a burnt cabbage jus that goes with the lamb. I would say, like, when I went to culinary school, which is 20 years ago, burnt stuff was a big no-no. I remember getting scolded for a little too much blackness on my meats or on my vegetables. But now, over the last several years, I think that burnt has become an actual like flavor to use. Charred is in. Now that I have finished burning my cabbage, the next step is to juice it and get all the burnt cabbage juice out of it so we can make the sauce. Lamb neck. I love using lamb as much as possible. It's one of my favorite ingredients. We do a simple cure on this, inspired by some types of barbecue, salt, brown sugar, and black peppercorns. I didn't want to impart too many flavors, just wanted to be able to let the lamb neck flavor shine. I like to use this cut specifically for the fat. The fat on the lamb neck is very thick, provides kind of a protective layer for the meat. It's going to impart all this flavor and all this juiciness into the actual meat. I also like to use lamb neck again because it is a lesser, I guess, known cut, and I'd rather be serving an offcut and trying to change people's mind and perceptions than just going for the easy grab of a lamb leg. These particular lamb necks are coming from Colorado. For some reason, a lot of meat purveyors and a lot of meat stores in America push Australian and New Zealand lamb. I don't understand the whole idea of getting our meat from the other side of the world. If we can use a product that is from our country and more local, I would rather do that. And Colorado lamb is pretty awesome. I am from Colorado, so I'm a little partial to using the Colorado lamb. We let the lamb necks cure for about 36 to 48 hours. That's gonna be enough time to extract a good amount of moisture out of it and get the seasoning and flavor into the lamb. Then we hot smoke it. The lamb is kind of like a deconstructed lamb sandwich, lamb gyro that people can build at the table. There's a smoked lamb neck, is slowly hot smoked at a low temperature, cooked until it falls off the bone. And then we have the burnt cabbage juice, fortifying the smokiness of the lamb. And then we have some pickles. Those are both growing on the farm. Flatbread that we bake in the bakery next door. Essentially, all of that, you fold it up and you eat it like a lamb sandwich or a lamb gyro. And I would say almost every one of our large tables definitely gets a lamb to share. The building that One White Street is a very iconic building because it was owned by Yoko Ono and John Lennon at one point, and that made it a historical landmark in New York City. They did own it and they turned it into an embassy, and this was the Utopian Embassy. And that's actually our LLC, is Utopian Embassy, which is kind of funny, but it's a little joke. We use a Muscovy duck from the Hudson Valley. We get these in a couple times a week because we dry age them in-house. Duck is known to be on the menu sporadically throughout the year, but in this iteration with the confit leg and thigh and the beans, it's only gonna be a cold weather offering from us. Our Hudson Valley duck is loosely based on a classic French dish cassoulet, which is duck and beans. I would say the duck is probably our #1 selling protein out of the entrees. Basically, you're going through about 250 to 300 pounds of duck a week, and that's that. Butchered duck ready to go and age for the next 2 weeks. We have the beans. After we receive them, we soak them overnight. Then they get cooked in a pot on the stove with some aromatics, mirepoix, slow simmered until they are tender, which is what these guys are. These are the cooked beans, stewed, cooked, tender, and delicious. After they're done cooking, we cool them down and they are just held until we need them for service. A lot of people say what grows together goes together. I usually try to cook by Mother Nature telling me what to do. I was raised on a small farm in Colorado, and that's just the way that I grew up, where it was just very much waste not, want not. I think that's the same thing here when we're creating a dish or have different projects and we see something that is quote unquote trash or a byproduct. I'm always like, what can we do with that? That's not done yet. That has more to offer. And especially being the produce that comes from our farm, we want to throw away next to nothing. This is what the finished dried duck looks like. This is 12 days old, almost the 14 days of 2 weeks dry aged. So you can see it's shrunken down in size. The skin is a lot tighter. The skin is a lot darker, ready to be roasted. It's gonna be way easier to get the skin crispy, and it's gonna have so much more umami and flavor because we've lost all that water content. So with that is the duck cassoulet. Crispy skin, falling off the bone, tender meat, and that's sitting over the ragu of the Good Mother Stallard beans with celery root puree. And then we have a jus made of the duck bones that is infused with ginger and rosemary. So everything together is very much a heartwarming dish in cold winter months. Something I would really like guests to take away from the restaurant is the cooking of here and now, trying to eat local, eat seasonal, support small farmers, try not to waste stuff. I think that is just a great approach to making our food culture stronger, better, and hopefully more longevity with having good food.